What's up guys, I'm Nick and this is Build Dad Build. And this week, we're taking this episode to Round Town. That's right guys, xTool has come out with a brand new rotary tool and this thing is insane. So this week we're going to be taking a look at the xTool Rotary Attachment 2 Pro. And just for funsies, we're going to engrave all the things. So xTool has created this just bonkers 4-in-1 universal rotary that takes care of all the problems. You got a handle? Yo, they solved it. You got something that's not level? Yo, they solved it. You got something with a stem? Yo, they solved it. If you want to engrave a bowling ball, yo, they solved it.
Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Out of the box, it comes in looking like the old one with the 2 rollers on it. This chuck can be put on here either way. But if you're engraving something like a mug with a handle on it, now you have extra clearance underneath it, and this piece just becomes your counterweight. Okay, so let's talk about how we got here in the first place. This new rotary comes with this little guy on the back of it, which the old one doesn't have. What I have done, I've just taken these screws out and switched the plate. So you get in here. All right, so is this starting to look a little bit more familiar? These guys in here. So these guys come off, and then if you want to use the chuck on here, I'm not going to screw those back in because I don't want to. If you want to use the chuck this way, this just screws in here, and this belt attaches to this little guy behind here, and it just goes on this wheel. But if you want to do something with the handle, you're going to take this guy and you're going to move it over here. Like I said, this is going to become your counterweight now. Okay, and then this guy just sits right here and screws in. Okay, do not make the mistake I did and rage quit this. This right here, these are set screws for this thing, and these are not tight when you first put this on here, and if they're not tight, this comes off. And what I was doing as I was engraving, and these weren't set, and my thing kept slipping, and I was like, I've got the chucks tight, I don't understand. And it was because I didn't tighten these set screws. So make sure you go in and tighten the set screws so this doesn't give you any problem. Okay, one thing I did run into was I was doing a pretty heavy mug and it was still flipping a little bit. So I just used my 1, 2, 3 blocks on this side. As you're trying to do these mugs, see how there's a couple of different spots on it. I'm sorry, this is filthy. I got this from the thrift store. But you might want to do a couple of tests on the bottom to get the idea of what you want to do. I was using the ceramic settings, which are 115 millimeters per second, but it was giving me this dark. So we're going to be going 100% power, 5 millimeters per second. Is what's giving me that. So you're going to insert into chuck, and then I just kind of hand tighten it until it gets where I want it to be about. Oops, maybe not. And then I come in with the chuck key and tighten it up. Okay, so 2 things. One, you always want to run a frame, make sure you're not going to hit anything, and it reminds you that your rotary's on. So that looks good. And the other thing is, let me bop you up here a little bit. I have taken this guard off. So make sure you wear your laser glasses when you do this. What I found is that the end of this will run into these. It's too low. I know some people have just cut this off a bit, and maybe I will do that as well. For the time being, the safety shield is off. Goggles are on. There it is. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but when I first started to engrave this, it was engraving backwards. And normally when you're on the rotary, on the rollers, and they're on this side, anything that's 90 degrees with the top pointed that way prints normal. So I don't know if the fact that this spindle is on the back makes a difference there. Well, I'm gonna swap this out right now, and we're gonna find out if we put something on the rotary on this side, if it does the same thing now. And that's just something you need to be conscious of. Go ahead and put the rollers back in. And once you get the rollers back on, do not neglect this set screw right here. because this will make this roller slip, and you'll get, you know, like your circles will be out of round and things like that. Text will get elongated, that kind of craziness. Easiest way to find if your rotary is going to engrave the proper direction without ruining material is to just get yourself some sort of cylinder, put a little painter's tape on it, and just do a test run. Okay, so I don't know if you can read that very well, but it does say test. It is the right orientation. So I have a feeling it's just the fact that this gear is on the back that flips the image. So you just want to keep that in mind. Now let's move on. Now we know that if we do an image in LaserBox and then turn it 90, it should be right side up on our material. Okay, so I've used Enduramark in the past. I haven't used it on glass though. And this is actually charcoal for glass or ceramic. So we're gonna use it on this wine glass. For glass and ceramic, you want to go with a little thicker coat. So that should dry in about the next 2 to 3 minutes. I need to get a file set up, so I'm going to do that while this is drying. Okay, and for our next deal, we're going to be using this leveler. Let's see, make sure we get as level as possible here. I don't think I can get any bigger than this without raising the frame. All right. And the beauty of this stuff is that it just washes off with water. Next up, we're using a little Enduramark black on one of these oversized tumblers. And when you do this, you want to go light coat. So this leveler in the back will also help you level out tumblers like this, so you don't have to use the janky jig anymore. No more janky jig. Guys, I just want to jump in here real quick and remind you that the link to this rotary is down below if you want to go check it out. Thanks for sticking around to this point in the video. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out. And speaking of people that help me out, I just want to say thanks to all of my patrons. These guys put the hoe in heave ho. I have a couple single shout outs to some new patrons. I might have shouted some of these people out before, but my videos have been I've been filming out of order to a certain degree, so I can't remember which goes where. So we're shouting them all out right now. Pat, Sloan, Adam Dutch, and Dennis Clark. Cheers. I have so much glassware. Look at this. Look at that. That's all stuff that we're testing for you. What's up, guys? Welcome to a little bit of YouTube inception. While I was editing this latest video, I realized that I did not shout out my top tier or Boilermaker patrons. Thank you so much, Stephen Mann, Eric Weiss, Derek Coates, Chuck Faulkner, Puffy Muffins, Andy the Viking, Dwight Smith, Christopher Walters, Todd Stewart, and Franklin the Tanklin. It's coffee, I swear. All right. Now back to that weird guy. All right, guys, if you really want to support the channel, go check out my Patreon page. I'll link it down below. Take a look, join up if that's your thing. All right, now back to lasering. Whoop. Next up, we'll be taking these guys off for another configuration. We will be using the chuck again. We're just not going to be using these pieces. By the way, this unit does come with these single step jaw components as well, instead of the second step if you've got something that's a little deeper. All right, and once you get those guys off, you've got these little extensions you can screw in here. And what that's gonna allow us to do is engrave spherical objects. My understanding is you can use these to engrave rings as well. You would just bring the chucks all the way in, put the ring in there, and then open until you've got the ring in there. If you've got the silicone rings, or if you've got a laser engravable ring, you can use this to do that. I don't have any sort of rings to put on this, so I'm not gonna be demoing that feature, but it is available. I started to take this off and put it in the back like it did before, but I didn't realize that these have little feet that fit into this track. So this is adjusting, and then this is how you lock her down. Now I couldn't find anything like really spherical, so we're gonna go with an egg. Just in time for Easter, kids. It is laser engraving it, but I would not wish the smell on anybody. So not getting a great result, but it's definitely etching through the egg. It's crazy. Okay, so I went and found one of my kids' baseballs. I figured we'd try this instead. Look at this thing, it's a beast. Remember, link to this down below. Also, if you don't have an xTool, this is universal, is my understanding, so you can purchase it for your own device. All right, guys, we've reached the time in the video for a little results action. A little Yellowstone there. Also, you probably want to go check out xTool's video about the rotary because they're going to demo some different things you can do, like you can do baseball bats and really long cylindrical objects, which I just don't have anything laying around to do. We might have pushed the limits on this one a little bit. I think we had a little bit too much of a curve here, which is why we get a little fading at the bottom. But actually, the result looks pretty cool. It looks like I did it on purpose. We have my new favorite mug. A little homage to coffee and motivation. If you know, you know. If you don't, you need to watch my Instagram stories. We got Ozzy's baseball and some things that I had that I think kind of reached the limits. I'll have to figure out a way around this. I had a martini glass and I couldn't get it. This has to be this high for this to be flat. So that wasn't working out. We'll have to figure out something for this. If anybody's got any ideas, let me know down below. Kind of the same thing for this margarita glass. This distance was too much for the laser. And honestly, that's probably more of it just raising the laser itself up a little bit more, but I didn't have any good way to do it today. And just to show you that we all mess up occasionally, there is this chestnut. Yeah, I did that. Still not exactly sure how that happened. All right, guys, comment down below on which of those is your favorite engrave. Is there anything cylindrical you want me to put to the test in this bad boy? Let me know as well. And until next time, I gotta get to work. Carry moonbeams home in a jar. Doesn't everyone know who you are? I don't know how that song goes. Does anybody remember that skit from Saturday Night Live? Put your weed in it. Give me something white besides my ass.